What is going on, gunfighters? You want to talk about assault packs? You want to listen about assault packs? What is an assault pack? Should I have an assault pack? Does an assault pack make sense for me in my life? What do I put in the assault pack? That's what we're going to talk about today on Gunfighter Life. Welcome to Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics, the right way, with Almighty God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. For that experience, see the bio link in the show notes. You look at that if you're not familiar with the bio, and you might surmise that I have used an assault pack, right? I know my way around an assault pack. I've used an assault pack, in war. I'm familiar with assault packs. Now, there's all kinds of bags in the tactical world. We like to get all spun around the axle. Bug out bag, inch bag, which is I'm never coming home bag, get home bag, bailout bag. Before I heard any of those terms, I had an assault pack. In the military, when deploying overseas, you had a big rucksack, way bigger than it probably should be, way on the wrong side of that firepower versus mobility equation. Because the lighter you are, the faster you can move, the more stuff you have, the harder it is to maneuver. Right, what's the mission for a Marine infantryman? Locate, close with, and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. To fire, you have to maneuver to get there usually, if you're assaulting, which is the point of an assault pack. If you're sitting on your butt, I guess it doesn't really matter, but if you're assaulting, mobility is a thing. You don't want to have your big rucksack on. You don't want to look like a tactical Ninja Turtle with a giant shell on. You got enough stuff to worry about anyway with just standard Marine infantryman. Let's call it a Marine infantryman EDC. That alone might be 50, 60 pounds. Add on to that a pack. Well, you don't want your big rucksack. You want a smaller, lighter pack for assaulting. An assault pack. Now, this is not. So settle down when I talk about what this is. This is not a bug out bag. This is not, I'm going to go live in the wilderness, build a cabin in the woods, wait out the zombie AI apocalypse, whatever you think's coming. Right? This is not that bag. Also not a get-home bag. This is an assault pack with the philosophy of I'm going to go on a short-duration combat mission. Fighting is the reason that I'm doing this. I may not. I may go out on a patrol in enemy territory and not see the enemy. That's okay, but my mission is assaulting. Also, I don't know if it's in the bio, but I was an assaultman in the Marine Corps, specialized infantryman. My title was assaultman. They've since gotten rid of that MOS. Maybe assault was not the most politically correct term. Newsflash, infantry is there to kill people. That's why they exist. Where was I? Assault pack. So this is for a combat role, a combat mission. Now your primary loadout, whatever that's going to be, right? Your primary weapon system, which your go-to today in 2025 in America, is probably some sort of AR, but it could be a 308 battle rifle of some kind. Whatever your primary gun is, you've got your standard loadout. Whether for you that's 5 magazines or 7 magazines or more magazines. You may have a secondary weapons platform being a handgun with 2 or 3 magazines. Your body armor, the stuff that's like on your body. I also served in the Army. That's what we would call in the Army line 1 gear. The stuff that's on you, which include things like your go-to fighting knife. That's not really stuff that's in the assault pack, so when I don't include that, that's because it's on you. It's your line 1 gear. Your assault pack is a support to that. Part of your stuff that you have on you, your line 1 gear, is probably some form of water, a canteen. But you may have in your assault pack extra water. If you've ever operated in a really hot environment, you're carrying all this gear in 100 plus degrees for several days, you might need more water. Good thing for your assault pack, one of the water bladders a 2-quart canteen, several canteens, water containers, Nalgene bottles, whatever. You could have the coolest kit, the best battle rifle in the world. If you're a heat casualty and you can't move, then you can't assault. Water. Extra water in your assault pack. This also may include things like iodine tablets if you're in a water-rich environment, or a quick way to purify water. Water tablets are usually the easiest, lightest of these. So maybe you can carry less water if you have the ability to get water without getting shot or without getting dysentery. Both of those things are important. Chow. Can you go 2 or 3 days operating without food? Yeah, and you might. But if you get a chance to eat, and you can do so safely, again, without getting shot, you might want some food. This pack is probably not the place for full MREs, full rations, quick things that you can eat. Like you would strip down your MREs, what we would call field stripping them, and you'd have maybe like a main meal or a couple of things of cheese or peanut butter, something you can literally bite a hole in with one hand, bite a hole in the top and suck the contents out like a tube of peanut butter. You could literally be on a perimeter behind your rifle looking through the sights and eating chow, peanut butter or cheese out of a tube. Right, so quick, easy to eat, hardcore, dense calories. You might have 1 or 2 main meals in there that you can literally kind of just open the pouch with a knife, and you don't need utensils, you don't need to cook it, you don't need anything, you just need to squeeze it out and eat it. This is not the time for, I don't know, whatever fancy food is, filet mignon. This is not the time for your, rehydrate your meal and have a 3-course meal, and this is not the time for that. A lot of times in these situations, if you had something like crackers or chips or something like that, you would literally just take the bag, put a little hole in it so the air comes out, and crush it into almost powder and dump it down your face hole, suck some water down so you get some calories. This is not the time to be eating proper meals. This is not what an assault pack is for, but some quick source of calories. You may, because an assault pack in my uses is for like hopefully no more than a 2 or 3 day operation. If it's going to take longer than that, you're probably going to need free supply. You're going to want a bigger system than the assault pack. Something you may consider putting in there is a Ranger roll or a poncho hooch, a whoopee or a poncho liner, and a poncho, right? This is not the time for a giant tent. This is not the time for a proper sleeping bag. Probably the most I would advise you put in here is a poncho and a poncho liner or an emergency bivvy. If you're going to get stuck out overnight in an environment that could kill you, give you hypothermia, whatever, a really, really wet environment, you may want some really rudimentary form of shelter. Not a whole tent, not a sleeping bag, like an emergency bivvy or a poncho hooch or something like it. This is not a bushcraft bag, right? This is not the time for, I gotta have all this other stuff. You're probably not making fires on patrol on an assault type environment, because it's more likely to get you killed than to keep you alive. This is for hostile environments. You can have that stuff, but either it's on you, your person, or it's in your big rucksack. It's probably not the place for it in the assault pack. Additional medical kit. Things other than what you might have on your person, like a tourniquet for EDC. You might have extra tourniquet or 2. You might have extra quick clot. You might have an eye snare or something else. You might have a massive dose of antibiotics in there. If you don't have to have a massive dose of antibiotics on your person, if you get a pretty nasty wound and it's going to be several days before you can get medical attention, those antibiotics could make a huge difference if you get a massive dose right away. You have to know how to do that and what kind and the dosage and all that stuff, but that's very likely something you might want in your assault pack. Some very basic, not like a full-on, gunsmithing bench rest type cleaning thing, but maybe a little thing of CLP, maybe a bore snake. Almost certainly some kind of cleaning brush, if that's not part of your Line 1 gear. Like I would carry some of my Molly On my body armor, I would carry like a toothbrush for weapons cleaning. But you would certainly have, probably at the very least, like some kind of toothbrush, gun brush, and CLP. You might have a little bit more than that, but not like a full-blown. You don't need like copper solvent and 3 different kinds of lube. You get the idea. And you might have more ammo, more magazines in your assault pack, just because simply you don't have more room for it on your kit. And you may have mission-specific stuff in there. Stuff that probably does not apply to you, but things in the military, like demolitions. Could be things like extra radio batteries. Something that would apply to you would be extra batteries for whatever systems you're running. Anything from AA's to CR123s, 1632s. That's something you might have in your assault pack. And again, the point of this is to be light and maneuverable. So resist the urge to put the kitchen sink in there. Assault packs. You kind of know what they are. Does it make sense for you? It depends on what you're doing, what your role is. Just like in the military, we'd have our big proper rucksack. We'd have an assault pack that fit on there somehow or fit in there somehow. You may want to integrate this into your system. Have a full-blown bug-out bag, rucksack, whatever, and then you may have a smaller bag that attaches to the outside or goes on the inside that you're like, hey, this is basically where I'm going to be, but I want to go on a short patrol. I don't want to carry this giant rucksack at night in this treacherous terrain. The assault pack makes more sense. Something like that. Let's say for security contract work or EP, executive protection work. You might be going on a long trip, 1,000 miles away from where you normally live. Maybe it's a week-long operation. Maybe you check into a hotel or a bivouac site or whatever, and that's where your main bulk of your stuff is going to be. You don't want to carry all the stuff you need for a week or two on you all the time. You also want more than just what's in your pockets. You're going to set up as a designated marksman or the medic, right? You may want a assault-type pack on you in a small maneuverable bag so you don't have to carry all the extra stuff all the time. Maybe on a perimeter, if you've ever had the displeasure, standing post or on a perimeter for 12 hours, 14 hours. Can you do that without food and water? Yeah, you can. But, a 2-quart canteen or a couple of Nalgene bottles, a salt packet, not assault as in ASS, but A space salt as in sodium chloride packet, and a tube or two of peanut butter or a Quest bar or whatever, just something that a snack so you're not there the whole time. Or something happens, you're supposed to be relieved in 4 hours, but something happened in the operation, you're not getting relieved for 24 hours. You're stuck out in the middle of nowhere and you can't abandon your post. Stuff like that happens. Having a pack like this is kind of handy. Does it make sense for you? I don't know, because unless you're somebody I personally know that listens to this, I don't know you, and I don't know what kind of operations you're doing or what your plan is. If this fits into part of your preparedness plan, I don't know that. You know that. I can't think for you. So that's kind of what an assault pack is, when you would use it, when it would be advantageous. Is it something you should have? You have to answer that. Does it make sense for you or not? Anyway, I hope that this was helpful. As iron sharpens iron, the verse I often quote, we'll make that the verse of the day. Supposed to sharpen each other as men. This is my commentary. Sharpen each other as men, as iron sharpens iron. Hopefully this helped you. I appreciate you and have a blessed day.